Nikita Zhuromsky, The Serpent Queen, Chapter 1. A dead silence hung in the air of the night forest. Birds and animals fell silent. It seemed as if time itself had frozen within this stillness. The stone eyes of the goddess gazed upon the priest, silent and non-judgmental. Lakin bowed before the idol of the goddess, pressing his hands together in a prayerful gesture. The only sound breaking the silence was the crackle of the bonfire lit before the statue. "Oh, great Christella, I surrender all of myself to you." The priest finally broke the silence. Lakin made an incision on his palm and spilled a few drops of blood into the fire. Then, he tossed mandans into the flames, in gratitude to the fire. Lina woke up in a cold sweat, as usual. These strange, terrifying dreams had been haunting her for 2 months now. She brewed her morning coffee and turned on the television. The hosts of the morning program were a young man in a black suit and a pleasant-looking woman of about 35. Yesterday, a powerful volcanic eruption occurred in Indonesia. According to preliminary data, 13 people were injured. The rescue service continues its search for survivors, the host's voice echoed. Suddenly, the TV screen began to glitch and distort. Red and green squares and spirals consumed the entire display. Yesterday in Indonesia, 13. Rescue. Search. This time, the host's voice sounded sinister and chilling, swallowing sounds and syllables. What on earth? Lina thought, feeling a mix of fear and irritation. On one hand, it was just television static, but at the same time, it sounded mystically terrifying. Lina opened her eyes and exhaled with relief. It was just a dream. She brewed her morning coffee and turned on the television. In the morning show, the girls saw the same young man in a black suit and the pleasant-looking woman of about 35. Yesterday, a powerful volcanic eruption occurred in Indonesia, the host began. "No, not today," Lina said sharply, a wave of fear hitting her as she slammed the power button.
Chapter 2. Suddenly, the television turned on by itself. On the screen, Lena saw an unkempt man in his 50s, wearing glasses and sporting a bushy beard. Friedrich Nietzsche is considered one of the most famous atheists of his time. But in my view, Nietzsche did not deny the existence of God, quite the opposite. He wrote about God. God is a formless void, the space of the universe, and the universe itself, in this context, acts as a kind of illusion, the man on the screen said. "Isn't right, Lena?" He added. "Am I dreaming again?" Lena thought terror. "How long have you been using drugs?" The psychotherapist asked in a flat, calm voice. "I don't use them. And I never have. I don't even smoke." Lena shook her head. "How long have you been having these hallucinations?" "For about 2 months. I strongly recommend hospitalization for you. With your hallucinations, you could become socially dangerous," the doctor stated. "No, please. I can distinguish between what is a hallucination and what is reality. Tell me, have these voices in your head ever ordered you to, for instance, kill someone?" "They aren't exactly voices. It's more like reality itself is speaking to me through images, metaphors, or my own thoughts. I get the impression that my thoughts do not belong to me," Lena said, sinking deeper into fear. "I will prescribe you some medication. If these visions do not disappear, we will change the treatment method." "Thank you. Goodbye, Doc," the girl managed to squeeze out, trembling with fear. "Laking, it is time for us to leave. Everyone is waiting for you," the voice of Male, the novice, echoed. "But I have not finished my prayer," Laking replied in a flat, calm voice. He sat in the lotus position, with his eyes closed before the idol of the goddess. "I am sorry, I did not mean to disturb you. Come when are you ready?" "You are not disturbing me. You are disturbing the goddess," Laking answered in the exact same flat, calm voice. Male withdrew to the forest ashram to join the other brothers, while Laking continued his meditation. His thoughts flowed smoothly and calmly at the same time, It felt as though there were no thoughts in his head at all, only pure awareness. Hoot hoot. The hooting of an owl resounded. In the night forest, this sound took on a sinister undertone.
Chapter 3. The owl continued to hoot, disturbing the sage's peace. Lakin tried to focus on his meditation, but the sounds kept growing louder, triggering his irritation. Finally, the priest's nerves snapped. "How dare you disturb my peace, you worthless creature," Lakin thought furiously, and loosed an arrow over his left shoulder without looking. The arrow pierced the owl's flesh. A few moments later, the hooting resumed. "How is this possible? My bow never missed. This bow is a gift from King Hurst himself, the god of the hunt." The sage thought in utter bewilderment. "The worthless is the countless," a voice echoed inside Lakin's head. The sinister hooting of the owl spread in circles, echoing deep within the night forest. Lakin loosed a few more arrows, but in vain. The sounds continued. "Hurst, save me. Christella, save me." The priest prayed in humble surrender. He continued his prayer until, suddenly, a pair of yellow eyes appeared before him. "This is the end," the priest thought. In the morning, the brothers found Lakin's lifeless body near the idol of the goddess Christella. Who is Lakin? Lina thought. Who is Lina? Lakin thought. Lakin walked into the ashram. "But you are dead." "We buried you yesterday," Mal said in utter bewilderment.
Chapter 4. I don't know. Or rather, I don't remember. I was sitting and praying to Christella. Then, a blackout. "And my bow is gone," Lakin said. "But we discovered your dead body, burned it on a funeral pyre, and scattered the ashes in the river." "Whose body did we burn?" Mail picked up a clay vessel that had held the ashes yesterday. There was no trace of ash at the button. "Miranda," Mail bellowed. "Yes, master, what is your wish?" The terrified maid ran in. "Did you wash the vessel? It should be threw away on the third day. It was not meant to be washed." "Forgive me, master. I have only recently started serving in the ashram. I did not know. You broke the rules. Get out of here." "Wait, brother, do not be so harsh with her," Lakin intervened. "She violated Dharma. She disrupted the funeral ritual. She must be banished," Mail said, softening slightly. "But she did it out of ignorance. There is no fault of her own here. If a violation has occurred, it means she is guilty. Only Christella will be able to judge. Banishment is better than being devoured by wild beasts. If she is innocent, then Christella will protect her from all evil. Follow us," Lakin strictly ordered Miranda. "No, master. Please. I won't make a mistake again." Sensing something wrong, Miranda begged. "Of course, you won't make a mistake again," Mail smiled sinisterly. Lakin and Mail grabbed the maid, carried her into the forest, and tied her to the tree across from the idol of Christella. Lakin lit a sacrificial bonfire and returned to the ashram. "If she survives, it means she is not guilty," Lakin said with a serious expression. "You are right, brother." Mail raised a goblet of wine. By that time, the sun had nearly set into twilight. Somewhere in the distance, a howl echoed. Miranda tried to scream and break free, but the gag in her mouth and the rope tightly bound her movements. All the maid could do was passively watch how her fate would unfold on this night.
Chapter 5. That dream again. Lina shuddered and opened her eyes. She brewed her morning coffee and turned on the television. A scientific program was playing, and a professor was explaining either physics or mathematics. The shots alternated. One moment it was the professor himself sitting in an armchair against a black-and red wall. The next it was stones creating ripples on the water, then frozen snow crystals under a microscope, and then distant galaxies, just as it usually goes in science shows. The professor continued his lecture. "Have you ever wondered why the nota sounds different on different instruments? And what does trigonometry have to do with it? Think about it. The thing is, sound is a wave. Sound touches our eardrums, and we are able to hear. This is the Fourier harmonic series. Sound is transmitted by air. Where there is no air, there is no sound. There is no sound in space. Have you ever wondered that dogs see the world in gray, snakes see like a thermal imager, and colorblind people see colors in their own way? People with poor vision see clearly with glasses, but without them, the world becomes blurry, and the blind see only darkness. But how is our vision structured? Light reflects into our eyes and enters the brain. If everyone sees the world differently, then what color is the world? Could it be that the world is colorless? Light breaks down into a spectrum, and dispersion occurs. Light pours into different shades, like a rainbow. But what if sound and light are the same thing? Can we trust our senses? What if our entire universe is a sound that we perceive as light? What if our entire familiar world is a sound hologram? Chapter 6 Night falls upon the forest. Mel and Lakin sit in the ashram, drinking wine, while Miranda, bound to the tree, weeps in terror. Suddenly, the sacrificial bonfire before the idol of Christella erupts into towering emerald flames. Snakes begin to crawl out of the fire, but they do not touch Miranda. Instead, they entwine the stone idol. At that exact moment in her room, Lina turns off the television, but the screen refuses to go dark. The crackle of the bonfire and the sinister howl from her dreams escape the speakers. Through the static, she sees the bound girl and the face of the priest, who looks identical to the unkempt psychotherapist from her hallucinations. Lina feels an overwhelming urge to save the girl on the screen. Driven by fear and compassion, Lina touches the television screen. Her hand physically sinks through the glass, as if passing into a liquid mirror. In the forest, Lakin exits the ashram to Miranda's cries and witnesses a miracle. A giant, glowing, phantom hand materializes from the air above the idol. The hand tears away Miranda's bonds and casts Male aside. Male screams in terror. The goddess is enraged. Lakin freezes in pure stillness, realizing that his missing bow was this cosmic force all along. The worlds begin to fracture and dissolve like crumbling pixels. Lina pulls her hand back, but her room is already transforming. The black and red walls crack open, revealing the formless void behind them. On the screen, the professor screams without a sound, his face distorting. At the same time, Lakin closes his eyes in the forest and realizes that his entire world, the ashram, the gods, Hurst, and Male is merely a Fourier harmonic series, a sound hologram. He hears Lina's thoughts in his head, and Lina hears his flat, calm voice. A total surrender of both egos takes place. Lina collapses into a deep faint in her room, while Lakin dissolves into the lotus position by the idol. They find themselves in the space of a television within a television, a colorless, pure void where there is no air and no sound. The light beginning Lina and the dark beginning Lakin sit across from one another. Between them stands the mirror. Lakin sees that Christella is just a frightened girl in modern clothes. Lina sees that the mystical priest is her own deepest silence. Lakin and Lina simultaneously understand that they have never existed apart. They are both merely characters created by the source to pass the time in eternity. Lina reaches out her hand and shatters the mirror between them. The television screen goes completely blank. A dead silence falls upon the forest. They all fall silent forever. The screen fades out to show an empty modern room and an empty forest ashram. There is no one left. Only pure awareness remains, closing the laptop. The end of the film.